Get your films on with the Blurs.
Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate.
Unpacking movies has never been more spot on, woke, fire, and just plain lit.
They are lit all the time.
So if you're unsure whether or not to plop down some cash for a film, check out the Blurs.
When a man with a 45 meets a man with a rifle, the man with a pistol is a dead man.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolyte.
You really only need to hang mean bastards. But mean bastards, you need to hang.
Don't say you weren't warned. Here's Brandon and Jeff.
Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of the Film Blurs, episode 124. Today we are joined by my brother Trey Taylor. Jeff is feeling a bit under the weather, and we hope he has a speedy recovery, so he'll be back soon. But for right now, you got me, all right? And let's get into it. Trey, what have you watched lately?
What are you watching?
All right, so I've been doing this thing where I watch 3 new movies a week this year. So this week on Sunday, I watched Jim Henson Idea Man, the documentary on Disney Plus, and I liked it. I mean, it wasn't the greatest thing. I'm a very big Jim Henson fan. I actually have his biography. I started reading it this year. I need to finish it. But like, even just like compared to the first few chapters of his biography that I read, I was like, oh man, okay. So this was very much focused on Jim Henson as a puppeteer and an artist through puppetry more than anything else, which was fine. It was just like, if you're expecting anything more than that, like it does go into his marriage a little bit. And his kids are actually like interviewed in the documentary, and it shows how they actually started their careers by working with him on like projects and stuff. So that was cool to see. But like overall, if you're a Jim Henson fan, I think you'll enjoy it. But like anybody else, if you're looking for a documentary to watch, you don't have to like rush over to that one.
Does it get into any of the salacious stuff of Jim Henson, or is it like a puff piece?
So it doesn't get into anything super like dirty, but like, I mean, it does also like, I'm not gonna lie, it does like low key paint him as like a deadbeat dad. Like he was like a good father, but like he was clearly more interested in like the artistry side of his life than the personal side of his life. Cause like there were times where I'm like, oh, he doesn't really sound like the greatest dad, but like his kids didn't really have anything bad to say about him. But I did notice that his daughters were fiercely defending their mother. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's why artists struggle with families.
Yeah.
The only
and that is.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's funny because like people are always like, why is so much stuff always about like daddy issues? And then you watch documentaries and you're like, oh, well.
I mean, the only artists right now who seem to have a good a relationship with their families is Nolan and Denny.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, because like no music artists. Well, I guess Kid Cudi, because he's always rapping about his sisters, his brother, and his mom.
And his daughter.
Yeah, so he's literally the only rapper or music artist in general I can think of. Oh, Kendrick Lamar, never mind, because his parents are on his debut album. Damn.
Look at that. I mean, and he loves his kids, right? And I guess Nas, because Nas does love his daughters too.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And I guess Jay-Z did grow up once he had kids.
I mean,
ASAP.
Wait a minute, but wasn't Blue born when he cheated on Beyonce?
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. All right. You're right. All right. So yeah, I take that back.
Damn, Jay. All right, and then I also watched Warriors of Virtue.
Damn.
Damn. Yeah, So this was pretty much my first time watching it because I remember we saw it in theaters. Maybe was it for your birthday? Like
no. It was just a trip to the movies with a friend.
Okay, so yeah, I remember I think I was like 3 or 4 years old when this movie came out, so I remember literally nothing about it. I do remember that it did not hold my attention at all. And watching it now, I'm like, oh, I completely get why this didn't hold my attention. Like, man, that movie is wild. Like so the protagonist of the movie is a kid who wears a leg brace. You don't know why he wears a leg brace, but like he's just debilitated and needs a leg brace, right? And since it's a movie that came out in the late 90s, of course he gets made fun of because he has a leg brace. Again, you don't know why he's wearing a leg brace. Also, he only has one friend, and it's, of course, a black friend. And so the big catalyst for all of this is he overhears the star quarterback and the coach getting in an argument because he doesn't think the play's good. And so the main character is like, hey, Todd, they always go right, so you should go left. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And so it goes to the poorly cut together football game. He sees them snap to the right, so he goes left, and they win the game. And he starts feeling bad because he's not getting any of the praise because it was his idea. And so you fast forward to later in that night, he's hanging out with the bully quarterback, and he's challenged to spray paint his name on a wall in an abnormally large sewer, and he has to walk across a pipe that is over a glowing whirlpool in a sewer in the suburbs. That also just happens to be right next to a septic dump. So if he doesn't move fast enough, he's going to get hit by people's literal toilet water and feces and pushed into this magical whirlpool, which is exactly what happens. And then he ends up in the land of virtue, where there are kung fu kangaroos.
Yeah, bro, I haven't seen this movie in a minute. I remember I did revisit it like maybe 10 years ago and thinking, oh, this was not good.
I will say this movie has what might be one of the most racist scenes I have watched this year. So this kid is inexplicably friends with a cook at a Chinese restaurant. And this cook's introductory scene is him doing kung fu to make fried rice in the suburbs of America.
That's that Michael Bay shit, right? In Transformers 4, where what's his face? Stanley Tucci drops the bags of groceries, or Stanley Tucci's in the what's it called? The elevator, and there's a dude with groceries in his hand. They're in Hong Kong, and one of the bad guys tries to get him, and the dude in the elevator just drops his bags and start doing kung fu and saves him.
What?
Yeah. Transformers 4 is a wild ass movie.
Oh, that's right. Because I remember before we watched it, you're like, oh yeah, by the way, this movie thinks everyone in China knows how to do karate and kung fu. I was like, what are you talking about? And then that is literally what happened.
Yeah.
And that was after Transformers 2 with the racist twin robots. I will not say their nickname because...
Man, I've only seen Transformers 2 twice, and after watching it the second time, just to do a quick revisit of the whole series, I said on this very podcast, I'm never watching that movie again. And honestly, I'm not watching any of them again, except for maybe Rise of the Beast every once in a while. Yeah,
I don't think I've seen 2 since we watched it on HD DVD.
Two, I went to New York to see. My first time seeing it, I went to New York to see it on the 8-story IMAX because Michael Bay shot some of it in IMAX, and it ended up being like less than 10 minutes were shot in IMAX. It was like the fight in the forest and then parts of the climax at the end.
Yeah, I saw that at midnight around the corner, and I can be honest with you, I remember even like being in high school, I was like, yeah, it was aight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, anyways, what else have you watched?
Besides that, I started the ACOLYTE. I'm only on the second episode. I love that it's Star Wars doing kung fu and wuxia stuff, because that's what I always want from Star Wars. Always wanted from Star Wars, and they're just now starting to do it. Like the wuxia stuff's always been there, but they never really leaned into it. I don't know why the twin aspect isn't working for me, but honestly, outside of that, it's genuinely the best show they've had since Andor. It's not nearly as good as Andor. I'm not saying that at all, but it's easily their best show since Andor. Like, it's even better than Mando. Honestly, I put it over the last 2 seasons of Mando.
Yeah. Mandalorian was so cool and so great, and then like Jeff says, you gotta add a Skywalker in there just because.
Yeah, I think I said to you when it first dropped, I was like, this show has completely lost me now that I've seen Luke, and I really have not been into it the same way I was since.
Yeah, man, they got to stop making everything about those two characters, Luke and Anakin. Honestly,
yeah, because then Book of Boba Fett he pops back up, and I'm like, why is this not just Mando season 3?
Book of Boba Fett had that had a lot of problems, but yeah.
Shout out to Morrison though. I feel bad for him because he's like, yeah, I thought I was getting to season 2 for Book of Boba Fett, and then he's like, I also thought I was going to be in the Ahsoka show.
Oh, wait a minute, they're not doing a second season for Boba Fett?
He doesn't know.
So they're doing, so Star Wars has literally become Marvel at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Because that is a success we should all be chasing right now.
Man, they couldn't even make another good Ant-Man movie. And like, I actually like the second one. Most people don't. I'm not saying I don't like the first one. I do, but I'm one of those weirdos that prefers the second one over the first one. But even I didn't like Quantumania, dog.
Well, as me and Jeff talked about on this show, it seems like the last, Avengers, everybody's going to go see, right? Like, it's Avengers, but it seems like and sounds like the only movie that people are excited for Marvel is Deadpool and Wolverine. Mainly because, people love Deadpool, those first 2 Deadpool movies. Hugh Jackman's back, and also this is a Ryan, for better or worse, it's a Ryan Reynolds movie and not a Kevin Feige movie, which I never thought I would say. Thank God.
Yeah, I think that's what you said is like on point 100%. That's the only reason why anybody's looking forward to it. Like, it's been a minute since we got another Deadpool movie. We didn't think we'd see Hugh Jackman again as Logan, and so we're getting another Deadpool movie with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and he's in the costume. Like, that's really all anybody wants right now, just because everything else has been, from Marvel at least, has been so mid.
And the last episode, I straight up told Jeff, I was like, Kevin Feige straight up sat down Hugh Jackman and said, don't come back. And I'm like, let's forget about the creative aspects, because creatively, sure, I get it. But from a business standpoint, as a dude who runs a whole ass arm and one of the biggest arms in the entire world, why the fuck would you sit that dude down and be like, don't come back? Because Logan was such a good ending. I'm like, dude, it doesn't even, now that we've established the multiverse, like, that doesn't even have to be the same Wolverine.
Yeah, but you don't think like that. And I think that's honestly the problem too, is that it's one person who thinks one specific way leading the ship, and that's just not working anymore.
Clearly, because they've been making the same as everybody has been parroting what I've been saying lately, they've been making the same fucking movie with different heroes.
And it's interesting that it's just hitting that point now, because everybody was calling them out for it when they were doing all the climaxes that had a blue beam shooting to the sky.
Right. Yeah. Man, who would have thought, like, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals would all be so much better than their most recent shit?
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that people are like, Eternals still isn't that good. I was like, yeah, nah, you should rewatch it and then shut up, because like, compared to what we're getting now,
Yeah, yeah. If you, think it's telling that a lot of name directors don't really sign up for this, or if a name director does show interest, they clearly leave. Like, it still hurts me that Jordan Peele allegedly, we're not saying this happened, but allegedly took a meeting for X-Men and straight up walked away. That sucks.
See that, and that's the thing. That is like heartbreaking to hear, but at the same time, I'm just not surprised anymore. Like at this point,
But also, maybe that's a good thing because I kind of would like Jordan Peele to just keep making his shit.
yeah, absolutely. Or you know what? Well, I know they're not doing a Green Lantern movie, but if they ever do finally do a Green Lantern movie, let him do it and let it be Jon Stewart.
I think the Green Lantern movie will happen, but they're going to do the TV show first because I know the TV show, Hal's going to be older and John's going to be younger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So it literally is like, Lethal Weapon or like True Detective in space.
Yeah, because I say he'd be good to do Green Lantern just because he can make it like a Lovecraftian like space type thing, where like it could be just like eldritch horrors in space. And I feel like he'd kill that.
I mean, I'm excited to see what Jordan Peele does next. I'm itching because I know 2026 is now their date. It was supposed to be Christmas this year, and then things happened.
Yeah,
Before the strikes, things happened, and now it's 2026. So I'm very excited to see what Jordan's been working on, and I
yes,
know he said he has ideas for a couple of sequels to Nope.
yeah, and I'm really excited for his new one just because he said if he gets it right, it'll be his best movie.
I'm not gonna put that expectations on neither him or myself because
Oh, I'm not either. I'm just saying if he's that confident and like that happy with the story, that means it's going to be like just as good as Nope, which makes me happy.
yeah. I just hope he works with Hotame again because I mean, I'll be honest with you, that day for night stuff is honestly some of the best day for night photography I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Like they literally changed the game with it.
Yeah. That it's incredible. Hopefully, then Nolan takes a break, an extended break, so that way, Hotame doesn't have to choose projects, or maybe he could shoot them back to back.
Oh yeah. Their work together was so good. It was like I always say I don't think Nope is his best movie, but it's my favorite movie that he of his.
I think I think the more I think about it and the more I talk to people, they feel the same way as you do, and I'm starting to feel that way where I'm just like, Nope may not be his best, but it's definitely my favorite. And I think everybody is starting to slowly come around on that movie and how good it is. And a lot of people said, and I agree with them, it should have been nominated for a lot that
Yes,
year.
yes. I think I even said that to you when we walked out too. I was like, I feel that some of this went over my head, but this is definitely my favorite movie of his that he's made. And I even said I was like, it's not his best because not all of it's like as like tight as he usually has it, but it's just something about that. I'm like, nah, this is my favorite one.
It gets tighter the more you watch it.
Yeah, because you pick up on a lot more. That's true, and that's probably why like the more I watch it, the more I like it.
Yeah, same. Because I was thinking that earlier today. I was like, man, I might have to rewatch it like sometime coming soon.
I mean, it is a nice summer movie, to be honest.
Yes, and I wish we get more shit like that, man. Like IMAX. And I'm not even talking about movies for adults, but like big, like a mid-sized IMAX spectacle.
Well, like he made an American epic. Like that's the best way to describe it, especially when you see it on IMAX. Like he made a genuine American epic. Like it feels like Oppenheimer because he made a mid-budget epic, which is wild.
I do like how both Nolan and Jordan Peele had done their own Western, right? Like, Jordan's known for doing horror, and he did a sci-fi horror Western with Nope, with black cowboys, and Nolan did a biopic which has shades of a Western in it.
Yeah, and it's two of their best movies. Well, for Nolan, it is his best movie, and You know what? I may end up saying Nope is Jordan Peele's best movie. So
I will say this. I think technically, I think it might be Nolan's best movie, but as far as my favorite, it's still Inception.
oh, Dunkirk's still my favorite Nolan movie.
Yeah, yo, I hear that from a lot of people. Like either they love Oppenheimer or Dunkirk. But yeah, I'm sorry. Get back on track. What else have you watched?
That's pretty much it. I watched Chevalier like about a week ago. I liked it. I dug it a lot. I feel like it may or may not have gotten chopped up by the studio, to be honest, because it feels oddly paced during like the second and third acts. But I still fucks with it. Like it was a good time. It was fun, and it was nice to like see a biopic about somebody I had literally never heard of before. That very rarely happens anymore.
Yeah. I remember going to the press screening for that because I do remember when it was announced, it premiered at the Toronto Film Festival, and then it just never came out during that award season. And then they announced in January, like, yeah, it's coming out in April. I was like, oh, that's a shame. And well, it's not as bad as they thought it was.
No. Yeah, I think they were hoping it was going to be like a big culture shaking thing. And I guess if they promoted it right, it could have been, but at the same time, it's not, to me, it didn't feel like that kind of movie. Like it's good. It's not great, but it's definitely not a bad movie. I would not say that because a lot of it is very well shot and very well made. It's just a lot of it is also very average with the way it tells the story.
It falls into the biopic trap.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the with the cards at the end.
So I'm gonna get into what I've watched. I'll try to make this as quick as possible. I saw the first 2 episodes. I know episode 3 is up now, but the first 2 episodes of Clipped are pretty entertaining and pretty good. You know, look, man, there's a lot of stuff that should be said and needs to be said, but I'm going to save that for another time. Back when. I'll get more into the racial aspects later because I'm not surprised by any of this. It's based on a true story, but like none of this is surprising, you know?
Oh, damn.
Moving on, My Adventures with Superman, the latest episode. This really is doing again what Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman tried to do, and it's doing it well.
You know, it's interesting because Christopher Nolan recently said that he feels like Man of Steel and Zack Snyder with Man of Steel and Watchmen were like 2 of the biggest influences on comic book movie making, like visually. And like in hindsight, he's kind of right. Like the way people portray anybody flying now, it's like straight from Man of Steel.
Yeah, with the sonic booms and shit.
Yeah, doing splash page shots came straight from Watchmen because Watchmen was a frame from frame remake of the comic book or graphic novel comic series. Sorry. Yeah. So, and then the speed ramping and all that with 300 and the way he shot 300, that's pretty much the way Marvel shot all of Endgame.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, me and you, we like Man of Steel. Jeff likes Man of Steel, but when people tell me they hate that movie, I completely understand why.
Yeah.
Because I hate everything that followed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think the one thing you have to do if you want to tell stories like this, darker Superman stories, is like this. Like, you have to make it have heart and lighthearted. Like, you can go dark with Superman, but keep it lighthearted.
You also have to. I think the problem is that you can start dark, but like you said, you have to get to the light at some point. And you never really, you get moments of light in Man of Steel, definitely not at all in BVS, and then kind of sorta in Justice League you get the light, but like you never see glimpses of that at all in Man of Steel, even though there are like, because like again, I get what he was trying to do with that, having Pa Kent saying maybe you should have let those kids drown or whatever. And then Ma Kent saying you don't have to save anyone. Like, I get that. They're talking as parents. That's literally what a parent would say to protect their child. But that's not what people want from Superman.
Also, it also just doesn't help that, you know, Superman, and this is not on Henry Cavill. This is on the script and Zack Snyder, because Man of Steel, that script and what Zack Snyder's doing are two separate different things. But it's also because Henry is so stiff because he doesn't get to emote.
Yeah.
Like in any of these. Like the only time he got to emote was in Zack Snyder's, and not Zack Snyder's, Josh Whedon's Justice League.
And even then, it was really only in that opening scene with the wonky face.
And at the end, where he's clearly having a good time, he's smiling like, yo, this is fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I'll give the Josh Whedon Justice League over the Zack Snyder Justice League is like, yo, at least he felt finally like Superman.
It's just a shame that he had to work with Joss Whedon.
Look, that whole situation is disgusting, but you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, my adventures with Superman, this third episode, it really does drive home, like, man, there's so many different ways to tell this dude's story. And I'm glad, like, 80 years on, we're finding new ways. Like, this show's so good, it's getting me pretty amped for whatever James Gunn's doing that's gonna come into theaters this time next year.
Honestly, I think the show is why he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna really do anything with the origin. Like, they're gonna go to Smallville, but he's like, yeah, we're not going through his whole thing again. And I think it's probably because My Adventures with Superman is doing it so well.
That, and we already know, like, the Batman, that's the one thing I loved about the Batman. They're like, yo, like, you know how he came to be. Let's just get to business of why he is who he is.
Yeah, because like even people make jokes now. Like, one of my friends recently made a joke about it, about like, gotta snatch the pearls and make another Batman, because they were talking about what if one of Joker's henchmen finally killed Batman, and he said, oh, just gonna steal the pearls off somebody else and create another one. I'm like, damn bro.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm also a little nervous for James Gunn's Superman, just because not only does he have to introduce us to a new Superman, he also has to launch another universe. This also is gonna have Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, and Green Lantern on top of all of the, you know, rogues, all of the people we know and love from the Superman mythos.
And it's 2 Green Lanterns, isn't it? Isn't it Guy Gardner and Hal Jordan?
Hal's not in it. It's just
Okay.
Hal, specifically Hal and Jon Stewart are going to be saved for the TV show.
Okay, so it's just Guy Gardner.
Yeah, the TV show, which I'm excited about, because I'm like, I saw who was doing it, and I was just like, oh, okay, like, they're doing like a crime show.
Who's doing it?
It's Tim King, who's one of my favorite writers.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they did announce this, didn't they?
It's Tim King. Hold on. I know. I can't remember. I think it's JJ or somebody like that.
He did The Leftovers and Watchmen.
Damon Lindelof.
Yes,
that's it.
Yes.
So it's literally lanterns with it's basically True Detective with Green Lantern, which is pretty fucking cool. But like,
so definitely let Jordan Peele make that movie. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Guy Gardner will be in the show.
Yeah, all 3 of them are going to be in it.
Okay, all right. So it's Damon Lindelof, Tom King, and damn, I can't find the other person, but it's one other dude, and it's the dude. It was the dude who was the showrunner on Ozark.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah. So I was just like, all right. I've never seen Ozark, but like, I know people love it. Again, Tom King's one of my favorite comic book writers. He's written some of the best Batman books. Damon Lindelof, like, come on, man. The Leftovers, like, take season 1 away, because season 1's just an adaptation of the book, right? And then season 2 and 3 are just amazing television. And Watchmen, he made a sequel to the graphic novel and just blew it out of the park, where like that first episode felt like it was written by Alan Moore, to be quite honest with you.
That show's so good.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So My Adventures with Superman. I can't wait to see the next episode this coming Sunday. Other thing I want to talk about in TV before I move into movies. Oh, nothing. But let me get into a game before I move into movies. So I beat Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Very I don't like the mechanics of the game, but I do like the story, and I love Cal Kestis as a character. And it's a shame Dominic Monaghan's being bullied just because of his red hair. It's like, yo, everybody, people have red hair, get over it, and red beards. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Dude's a good actor anyway. Yeah, I wish these were movies, like the first one and this one, like, and whatever the third game's gonna be. Like, I honestly wish this was just movies instead of games, because I don't like the mechanics of the game. I don't like that it's a platformer where you got to keep climbing and running and jumping. Like, I'm a Jedi with Jedi powers. Let me fight people.
I think the problem is that they've got the combat down. Like, you feel like a Jedi when you're fighting, but not so much when you're traversing through the levels, because you just feel so heavy and clunky. It doesn't feel like smooth and fluid at all, like how a Jedi would actually be moving. So I think that's a big problem. But I agree with you. Like, these stories are so good that they could have just been like, it could have been a TV show or a movie, because like, I love the final moments of this game, and especially the way they like staged it when like she pops up to give him advice again and then disappears as he walks towards his new future. Like, they don't even do shit like that in the movies, bro. Like, come on.
Yo, man, like, I feel like, at least on the live action side, apart from Andor, because clearly Tony Gilroy's doing he's doing his own thing. And it seems like they're doing their own thing with the Acolyte. Everything else, including movies and TV, has just been a slave to whatever Dave Filoni wants to do.
I'm not even sure if it's full Dave Filoni at this point, or if it's more they're just being told, like, do what the fans want. Just do what the fans want.
Well, I think I've read that piece, and it seems like Kathleen Kennedy, she runs it, right? But then she's also like, oh yeah, you gotta run this past Dave, or if you want to do this, you gotta run this past Dave. And I'm like, motherfucker, nobody cares that much about the lore like that.
Yeah, stuff that's the problem with MCU too, is like everything's too beholden to canon now, and it's not just trying to tell a story.
Yeah, man. Like, sometimes you just want to sit down and just watch a story in this universe without worrying about how it connects to other shit, because it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah, not every single entry needs to expand your universe, nor should it, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about these Jedi games so far, is like, yeah, the Empire's in it. Sure, Darth Vader pops up, but it's not really beholden to continuity like that.
Not at all.
Yeah. It's frustrating, to say the least.
Absolutely, especially like we both said, when the story is so good, like as well written as it is too, you're just like, this whole experience should be as good as this.
Yeah, man. So I hope Dominic Monaghan though gets to play Cal in live action. Like, I really do.
That would be dope.
So let me move now into movies, and I'm gonna get into Peter Weir's 1977 film. It was on the Criterion channel, because Criterion has a whole channel called Synth Soundtracks. This one's called The Last Wave. And man, my man has felt this was clearly like, Peter Weir is an Australian, and he clearly feels guilt about what's going on with the Aboriginal people, because that's what this movie really is. It's like a whole allegorical thing about the Aboriginal people. And I'm going to tell you, I can't recommend it to everybody just because it's going to be too weird and the ending too open-ended and opaque for a lot of people, but I really dug it.
Okay.
I mean, Peter Weir is one of my favorite directors, but like, yeah, it's a Peter Weir movie. It gets surreal as fuck at points.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, it's sad that Peter Weir's not gonna make any more movies, because I know he came out a couple of months ago. He's like, yeah, I don't think this current environment supports me.
That's a shame, because I know there's a lot of directors that feel like that.
Yeah. On top of him being old now too. But
yeah.
Also on the Criterion channel, they have a channel called Ensemble Cast. So I finally got to watch 1983's The Big Chill, written and directed by Lawrence Kasdan. This movie has been hyped up all my life as being one of the best movies ever made. And it is, to me, the newest entry into the canon of cinematic caucasity. I don't fuck with this movie at all. Like the soundtrack's good, and I think everybody's acting their ass off. And for what it is well shot. But like, it's a bunch of baby boomers who are like well off, more well off than we'll ever be, complaining that life is hard.
I was gonna say I've heard of this movie, but I just heard that people liked it. Never heard any specific reasons why they liked it. Just that it's a classic. So
Yeah, it's about like one of their friends dies. So all these friends from high school and college reunite over a weekend at the funeral, and they reconnect, and they bring up past shit, and it's a comedy drama. And it was like nominated for a bunch of awards when it came out, and it's overrated.
damn.
Yeah, like this is the type of shit that I'm just like, yo, y'all gas this shit up, but there's better movies out there that are just sitting there, and because y'all are just like, it sucks.
That's how I feel about Grease.
Yeah, this Big Chill. I will never watch it again. Maybe I would tell people watch it just to say that you watched it, because you might enjoy it. You might get more than I did, but I didn't fuck with it. Moving on. Because I went to the press screening, I wanted to rewatch Inside Out, and Inside Out, I still love it. It's still a great fucking film. Like, I forgot how dark it got at the end. Like, that shit where they go, Riley can't feel anything. I was like, yo, I forgot about that. I was like, shit.
Yeah, that movie gets heavy.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. I really like. It is one of Pixar's best movies. Like, I can't believe it's been next year. So it's next year. It'll be 10 years.
Jesus.
Yeah. And with that, I watched for the first time Riley's First Date, which is a short that they had on the Blu-ray that I just never watched. I liked it. Like, I know this short got shitted on, but I thought it was fine. Yeah, it's a fine short.
What? Why do people have to be like so overly critical of everything? Like,
yeah, I don't know, man. It's a short movie. It's a cute little short.
well, I'm glad it was good, because like, what were people expecting from it?
I don't know, man. Like, it's the boy that she's gonna go hang out with. I don't know what else you wanted from this other than what you got. Like, it's 10 minutes and it does what it needs to. It's like a nice little placeholder in between the two movies.
Okay.
And the final thing I'll talk about is Robot Dreams. This was nominated for Best Animated Feature at this year's Academy Awards, because it was passed around at festivals last year, and it screened for almost every single guild last year. And for some reason, Neon decided to put it out now. There's about me and 5 other people in the theater when I went to go see it. And, it's past lives for the whole family.
Oh.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be like, because I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, this looks like it'll be a fun movie, because the trailer sells it like, oh, it's examining a relationship between a dog and a robot. So I was like, and people kept saying it was a friendship. I was like, oh, so it's going to be like some friendship between a dog and a robot, and it gets real sweet and tender. And no, it's really like it's that for like the first 30 minutes, and then it becomes a tragedy.
Oh.
So it literally is like past lives for the whole family.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Yeah, because the way it ends, I was just like, oh, okay, so this was past lives with a robot and a dog.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, and it takes place in 1984 New York with all these anthropic animals. So it's weird stepping into a time machine, and instead of seeing people, you're seeing like cats and mooses and bulls and all types of stuff like that.
Huh.
Yeah, so like, you know, like I'll just come out and say it. Like basically, the whole movie, dog is trying to get robot back, but like, because dog takes robot to the beach, and robot gets rusted out, and the beach closes for the season, so he can't get to robot. So there's all this stuff that happens in between to both of them in the meantime.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the way it ends, I was like, oh, this was just past lives, but like for kids.
I mean, I'm still intrigued. I guess I'll if I get the chance to stream it, I will. But
Oh yeah, because this is a Neon movie, so Neon movies go to Hulu, so this will be on Hulu.
okay.
But like, I don't know, I wasn't enraptured with it as everybody else seems to be.
Okay.
Yeah, man, like everybody's gassing this up, and I'm just like, it's fine. Like I walked out of this unmoved.
That seems to be a trend.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the main review.
And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The Film Blurds feature film review.
All right, so you guys are going to get a Disney double feature because I managed to see Young Woman and the Sea. And I remember when they first announced this and first released the trailer that it was getting a limited release, I was just like, why? This is a biopic, and honestly, it's a better biopic than One Love. Disney could have made some money off of this because this is the type of movie that like 5-10 years ago would have made money. Like if One Love made money, this would have made money, and especially seeing how crowd pleasing it is, I'm surprised that Disney just dropped it. I'm also surprised that Jerry Bruckheimer produced this because it's so subdued in its directing and filmmaking style. Like it looks like a lot of it was shot with natural light. Like it is a good looking movie. For as cliched and trope filled as it is, I really fucking enjoyed it. Like it is highly entertaining. I when I saw it, like I was in a pretty big auditorium, and that auditorium was like a little more than halfway full, and everybody loved it. And I was sitting there and I was looking around at one point, and I was just like, a lot of the people there were women who were in their 50s and 60s. And I was just like, there's a whole audience that's not being catered to. And that's a shame.
And I think so. I guess my question then is, they have Daisy Ridley on the books already as Rey. Why not just invest in her career and like give this a bump, and then also start generating some excitement for her Star Wars movie?
Yeah, I
Because
don't.
people are like, "Oh, Daisy Ridley's a great actress. Can't wait for her to be Rey again."
Yeah, and again, like it got to the halfway point where I'm like, damn, I'm just glad to see her in a movie because she can act. This is great. They're not throwing her in a relationship like these sort of things would. Like she's her own woman, and they trust me, that gets a lot of talk in this movie because this takes place in like 1912. So like,
Oh shit.
yeah, you know how that shit was back then. This is still before women could vote. It's so frustrating, and like this is like a highly entertaining movie, so it is really frustrating to see Disney just drop it like this. Daisy Ridley is an executive producer on this too. That's what also makes it frustrating.
Huh.
Yeah.
Again, why not just invest in your talent? Look what WB just did with Timothy Chalamet, bro. Why did they not do that with Daisy Ridley? Why did they not do that with John Boyega?
I'm telling you, man, this would have killed in like September, April, February. Like this would have killed. Like if they had give it a nice push and a nice like fucking advertising push, this would have made some money. I mean, it ain't gonna change the world, but I mean, it's good.
And it's crazy because like Will Smith just proved movie stars can still bring in money with Bad Boys. I guess Martin Lawrence did too. Tom Cruise, even though Mission Impossible underperformed, it still performed better than a lot of movies that came out this year. And then Top Gun Maverick was a hit because of just how well made it was, and because of him. Like, movie stars are still a thing, despite like us saying for a couple of years that movie stars were dead. They're clearly still a thing. Timothée Chalamet proved that. Zendaya proved that. Austin Butler is probably going to end up proving that. I genuinely don't understand why they don't just invest in her.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because the Bike Riders comes out next weekend.
Yep.
Which I guess I'm gonna have to make some time next weekend to see the Bike Riders.
And that's the thing, right? Like, people were talking about Austin Butler after Elvis, but that's also a biopic about one of the biggest pop stars ever, or rock musicians ever. So like, that kind of had some leverage there. And then Dune was a sequel, but he also stole the show there. So that's why I think the Bike Riders is going to really prove his star power, because like, that movie looks like it's going to end up being a hit, at least in my eyes, just because of it's a time that people like love. It's people love like bike gangs and from that era and stories like that. And he has a big James Dean Rebel Without a Cause energy, and that sort of aesthetic is becoming very popular with younger people again. So I can absolutely see him proving he's going to be a huge star. And like, people love Daisy Ridley as Rey. Every time she's in a movie, people say how good she is in it, even if the movie itself like isn't all that memorable. Like, what was I can't remember the name of that Shakespeare adaptation. Was it Ophelia?
Oh yeah, I heard that movie was a piece of shit.
Yes, but she's great in it. And like, that's the thing, is that like, you invest the time and give them the right project, they'll be great.
And you know what? I know this movie didn't cost that much. Like I know for a fact, because like this movie, it is so well made. Like, hold on, let's actually look up. And this is the other thing that's hurting studios, is they're just so focused on the box office instead of the long game. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, because they want all the money up front, which is stupid.
But
That's not how the movie business works.
Right. You got to give your movie a chance. Like, I can't find the budget for this. I really dug it. There's a lot of people in this. Like, Christopher Eccleston's in this, and he plays a piece of shit. The dude from the Pusher the first Pusher movie, Kim Bodina, is Trudy's father. Trudy Elderly is Daisy Ridley's character. True story, true woman. Bill Burgess, played by Stephen Graham. Like, Stephen Graham, this dude should be called over reliable, because every time he pops up, he kills it, and no matter what he's in. I was like, this dude, man, either he's playing a terrifying psychopath or he's playing a teddy bear. But yeah, man, like, going through this, like, even the woman who played her mom, Jeanette Hayne, like, this whole fucking cast just killed it. And it was directed by Joachim Roning. I don't know if he's Norwegian. I can't pronounce his name right, but I know he is also, I know he made a couple of movies with what blew him up was Kon-Tiki. I remember that movie and thinking that movie was real good. And he co-directed that with Espen Sandberg, and they did a couple of movies together before they branched off, and now he's doing his own thing. So like, they did Pirates of the Caribbean together, they did a lot of Marco Polo together, and then Joaquin branched off and did Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, and now he's in post-production on Tron Ares. So I guess he's just a Disney guy now, but like, this is a good looking movie, and like, I'm very it's very disheartening, like, a movie like this is just getting dumped, because I really do think this is one where they could have made money.
That's surprising too, that they found a director to invest in, and that seems to be their thing, is investing in directors that they trust now, because they have Jon Favreau, this guy, I'm forgetting somebody.
I mean, I'm looking at the DP for this, and the DP for this is the dude who always shoots J.A. Bayona's movies. So
Okay.
that's why the movie looks so good.
Okay.
Because
Alright, that makes
J.A.
sense.
Bayona's movies always do look good. But like, yeah, this is It's such a shame that they just pumped it and dumped it. And I'm surprised Jerry Bruckheimer produced this, man. Like,
That's
this
a
is not
shame.
going to change your world, right? Because it
Mhm.
is your standard biopic, but it is good. Like, I'm so surprised how well this works. And by the end of it, I was rooting for Trudy. Uh,
Dang.
yeah, this it apparently Trudy got the largest parade in New York City history.
Oh
Like, there's
dang.
never been a parade this big for an athlete.
Oh dang.
Yeah.
Oh, they got Andrew Stanton. He did John Carter and Lightyear and Toy Story 4 and Toy Story 3. I think he directed Toy Story 2. I think he did all the Toy Stories actually. So yeah, they always invest in directors. Why not get a couple of stars in there?
I don't know, man. I know Andrew Stanton was just announced as director of Toy Story 5, which makes me happy, but again, a lot of people said we didn't even need Toy Story 4, so I don't know why we're doing Toy Story 5. But we'll see. We'll see. I will give Pixar the benefit of the doubt because of the next movie I'm gonna just jump right in, Inside Out 2. I'm so surprised how good this was because Inside Out is one of my favorite Pixar, as you guys heard, is one of my favorite Pixar movies. So going into this, I was excited but scared just because I was sequels, man. Like but I mean, to me, this falls into the trap that Incredibles 2 falls into, but it's better than Incredibles 2. The trap by that, I mean, the story structure is the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. But I get why, after watching this, I get why Amy Poehler was like, she wants this to be the new Up series because there's a whole documentary series called like Seven Up, 10 and Up, 50 Up, where it follows a group of women over the course of their years, and like 7 Up is when they're 7, 10 is when they're 10, 30 Up is when they're 30. So like I get why she wants to do that because like after watching this, I'm like, yes, let's keep following Riley at different stages of her life. I think that's pretty interesting, and this does open up the world like a lot. I was just like, I didn't even know there's going to be this much more. But with that said, that's the only problem I have with it. Like, is it as good as the first one? Absolutely not. But I think this is a fantastic movie. I was cracking up laughing. And like the first one, when it hits hard because there's parts of it where I related to where I'm like, oh, fuck, yeah. Especially when the new emotions all arrive and the new emotions arrive and things get it just keeps moving. That's the thing I like about this movie particular. It just keeps moving. Like there's never a dull moment. Like
Well, that's that Pixar magic though, because like I don't. I okay, so I can't talk about Cars, but I don't think they ever made a particularly awful sequel.
yeah, I saw Cars 1 and I think I saw I saw Cars 3. And I don't like Cars at all. Like those movies suck. Like they just suck. The concept about them suck. It brings up so many questions about the world that that they live in that just doesn't track just logically. Like that whole shit, that from what I understand, that was a passion project by John Lasseter, and that was at the point where Pixar was riding so high they could get anything greenlit. So that's a Lasseter project, and we've seen Lasseter's moved over to Apple, and we've seen how his stuff at Apple has been received. I wouldn't be mad if we keep getting more of these. Honestly, I just hope they don't take as long. Well, you know what? I would take quality over time. So yeah, if it's gonna take as long, then fine. As long as the quality's still there. Uh, I've heard a lot of negative things walking out last night, and it's just like I don't know what people wanted or expected. Like I heard one of the complaints was too many new characters and too many characters in general, and I don't feel that way because it feels like everything and everyone's properly served by the end of the movie. Like my complaint about the first one is I remember the advertising on the first one and people were complaining. Well, excuse me. Let me bring this back around to me. I remember uh, going into that first movie because I remember seeing it like a whole month early, And as much as I loved it, I remember being just a tad bit disappointed that the other emotions weren't fully utilized. Like it was basically joy and sadness on an adventure. When I
Yeah.
remember all these characters were supposed to be on this adventure too. Well, this movie rectifies that, and and thank God, because I that's the one thing I wish the first movie did that this movie does is like this time everybody's on the adventure.
Yeah, because that's also what Pixar does really well is the ensemble casts. Like a couple days ago a couple weeks ago now at work, we were watching A Bug's Life, and that was my first time watching that movie in at least 15 years. And I was like, dang, this is, even though it's just Seven Samurai for kids, that movie's incredible.
Yeah, man. I know it's been 9 years since the first one, but it still just blows me. And it's not like the first one's a bad looking movie because it's incredible to look at, but I'm just so blown away by the animation in this movie. Like, it is incredible how far we've come in 9 years.
Yeah, the technology, man, it doesn't stop.
I'm saying, man, because the HDR in this just makes the colors pop. Like my screening, the press screening, was in Dolby Cinema, so we were in the Auditorium, and I'll tell you what, that Dolby Vision was working overtime because there's parts of it where I was just like, I stopped watching the movie and just started looking at it, if that makes sense, because I was just
Yeah.
like, this is just a gorgeous fucking movie. Also, the Atmos was hitting because in Dolby Cinema they put like butt kickers in the chair so the seats rumble at every time you get some low end frequency, and there's sequences in this where my chair was rumbling, but like they really utilize Dolby Atmos, the sound, and the Dolby Vision for this. So like my suggestion is definitely see it, but definitely pay the premium. See it in Dolby or IMAX. I'm very excited to see how the 3D is for this because animation. I've always found that animation is the best use of 3D nowadays, right? If it's not, Marvel can use it well sometimes, right? When they want to.
Yes.
So like for me right now, 3D, it's James Cameron animated movies, and then every once in a while Marvel. So I'm very curious to see how this looks in 3D. Like super curious. Yeah, man. Like all the new characters too they all are fully realized. Like I don't know why people said they didn't really connect with the new characters. Everything's there, man. Like everything's fully thought out and developed. I know they're probably going to keep introducing new characters because I know there's still a couple of characters where I'm like, wait, we haven't met this emotion yet, because that's an emotion I do feel a lot. But like I know a lot of people have said anxiety steals the show, and like, yeah, anxiety, like, shout out to Maya Hawke because she's doing a crazy job as anxiety, and like, anxiety very much welcome as a new emotion in this picture, and you'll see why. I don't want to give too much away, but like, man, embarrassment, I loved. Envy is just a cute little bug thing. Envy's played by Ayo Idebiri, if you can believe that.
I actually saw that. This cast in this new one is actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, because Paul Walter Hauser is embarrassment, and I can't remember who played Envoy, but yeah, like they're expanding Riley's mind in both new emotions and the places we go. And there's the one thing I love about Pixar is the same thing I love about some of my favorite directors, such as Christopher Nolan or Denis Villeneuve, is that they always put these characters in impossible situations, and I'm always sitting on the edge of my seat like, how are we going to resolve this before the movie's over? Because now you've put your characters in such dire situations that there's almost no way to come back from.
Yeah, man. I think the thing that always works with Pixar is that you can really tell when they are designing their story from top to bottom around the narrative. Cause like you talking about how good the HDR was, like, and how the colors pop. That's intentional, just because like depending on how you're feeling, your emotions can impact the way your brain processes colors. So sometimes like colors will look more vibrant, and so like that is intentional, where like they have actual like very specific control over the color grading.
That's true. That is true. I also want to say, because I know you'll appreciate this, Trey, and my whole theater, everybody was dying. There is a reference to a certain video game that's in this that everybody got and everybody understood. And the joke they use, hilarious. Also, there's another look, there's some characters in here that I wasn't expecting that popped up that had us dying. And you'll see what I mean. There's specifically two characters besides the video game characters, two other characters where you're going to be sitting there and you're going to be like rolling. By the way,
Okay.
yes, there is a post-credit scene.
Oh. All right. See, now I'm wondering what video game it is, and if it's the one I'm thinking of, I'm already happy.
Well, what do you think it is?
Is it owned by Disney?
No.
Okay, never mind then.
I'm so happy this is good. This is to me a pretty tight movie. Like I don't know. It takes place in such a short amount of time. Like it takes place over the course of a weekend because Riley goes to hockey camp for a weekend, and it works, man. Like it just works. Like it feels like the world in her head expands, but it also feels so much more intimate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's dope. And again, that's what happens when you just design every part of your movie around the story you're trying to tell, and it works really well with animation, just because like you're literally designing it.
Yes. So I can't recommend it enough. Inside Out 2. Like I think Disney has and Pixar have a hit. I was apprehensive because I'm not gonna lie, Trey, because you've seen Inside Out. Like I remember when they first announced it. I'm like, how do you do a sequel to Inside Out? Like you can't do a sequel. And they did it. I can't believe they did it. And I can see where they could go next if they want to keep going and keep visiting Riley as she grows older. Like I'm surprised. I'm so blown away that they did it. Like I really wish I could watch it again. Like right now.
That's awesome.
Like,
I wonder.
go
Go ahead. Well, I was just gonna ask. I was wondering if because you mentioned the HDR, I was wondering if they used the IMAX like camera rigs and lenses that they invented for Lightyear on this.
I don't think so, because we would have heard something by now. Like this was shot with that. Because if it was, we'd be going to Lincoln Square this weekend to see it in IMAX. But like it seems not the case.
Got you.
could
Okay.
see- And I know Disney cared about this motherfucker because they very rarely shut down Dolby Cinema or premium screen for us unless it's some Marvel movie.
Dang. Okay.
So like I'm again, it's not as good as the first movie. Like let's get that out the way. It's not as good as the first movie, but it's up there. It comes close. It's very good. I really do enjoy this movie, man. Like Pixar's back. Like that. It's that old Pixar magic. Where I'm just like, damn, bro, how did they do it? Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Maybe Toy Story 5 will be good. I hope so, because like I don't want when Pixar hits, they hit, and there's no better feeling of when Pixar hits, where you're just reminded, like, yeah, bro, this is why Pixar are who they are, because this works for children and adults.
See, now I'm hyped to see it. And it's not that I didn't want to see it before. It's just I don't really keep up with the trailers and stuff anymore, just because like I just go on the app. I'm like, oh, this is out. Let me go see it. I'm actually looking forward to seeing this now.
Yeah, man. Again, watching this movie, I'm glad I stick to my rule where I only watch one trailer and then move on.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, damn, man. I hope people go see this. I think people are gonna go see this. Like, it's from the sounds of it, this will be one of the few big hits of the summer. But I am glad people went to go see even though I wasn't crazy about it. I'm glad people did go to see Bad Boys for Ride or Die.
Listen, people better go see this because I'm still salty about Lightyear flopping.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, look, I know Pixar said that because Pete Docter's taken over and he runs Pixar now because he took over from John Lasseter, which we're not going to get into. You could Google that shit. But Pete Docter said, like, yeah, we're gonna start doing more sequels because all the original shit y'all don't go see. And I'm just like, oh man, that sucks because Soul and Turning Red, like Soul's still one of their best films, and Turning Red is so much fun. But like, if they're gonna start doing sequels, somebody get Brad Bird on the phone and get his ass to do Incredibles 3 and a Frozone spinoff. Like, come on, bro. Let's get this rolling.
And that's crazy too, because I remember around the time Incredibles 2 came out, people asked him, like, would you ever do a Frozone movie? He's like, honestly, I would write it and let somebody else direct it. I was like, oh, you want a black person to make that?
Yeah, so like, yo, let's get the ball rolling. They got black people. Like Kemp Powers did Soul, and Kemp Powers just did Across the Spider-Verse.
I was about to say, homie just did Across the Spider-Verse.
And that's another one where, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, they're going around saying like, yeah, y'all thought the second part's crazy. Wait till you see what we did for part 3. And I'm like, yo, y'all are doing too much now, because like, yo, y'all did a lot in part 2 to the point where even I was just like, nah, chill, nah. Like I'm that's another one where I gotta keep my expectations in check, where I'm just like, all right, because I don't like gassing myself up like this, because then I always end up disappointed.
Well, Pixar could also do something completely out of left field, like they did with Barry Jenkins on The Lion King, and just get a black director who's only ever made live action films before to do their first. Well, all right, well, not to be disrespectful to Lion King, because it's live action, but it'd be kind of crazy if they got like a Gina Prince Blythewood to do like a Frozone movie, or if they got Ryan Coogler to do.
I was just thinking Ava, because she already did A Wrinkle in Time, and then she was gonna do New Gods. I was like, give her a superhero movie, let it be Frozone. She's back at Disney.
Her on Frozone would be fire.
Yeah, her. Or by the way, not to get off topic, all y'all listening, Origin just dropped on Hulu. Please go stream that movie.
Oh, word.
But yeah, back on topic. But yeah, man. Look, I'm with Amy Poehler. Like, let's keep it going. Like, I'd love to see Riley now as like in college. I'd like to see Riley as an adult. Riley in her like having her midlife crisis. Like, oh my god, that will be. I can only imagine the jokes and the absolute balls to the wall insanity it would be at Riley having a midlife crisis.
I mean, they could do an entire movie around Riley getting married, like her wedding day.
Oh yeah. But I also had a conversation with Mike Sargent afterwards last night, where we were talking about this, and he's just like, see, the dangers of that though is like, wouldn't these stories have to start getting more adult because they're handling adult themes? I was like, yes and no. There's ways you can do that without being overtly graphic.
Yeah, you don't have to be super lewd with everything.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. They make sex jokes in the animated short Riley's First Date and this one.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing, is that people are just too conservative with children's media now. Because, like, I'm not saying like it has to be like super duper crass, but like people were making jokes like that all the time. Like, again, Shrek is still one of the most beloved animated movies of its time, and it is mostly pop culture references and dick and fart jokes. Like,
yeah, you'll see what I mean by the sex joke. Like, I that shit is funny, man. I was just like, because I've watched Inside Out, the short, and now this movie so close together, I'm just like, damn, bro, I feel bad for Riley's dad. Oh man, yeah, that and I got nothing more to say other than please go see this movie. Do yourself a favor and do the premium upcharge. Like, it's worth it, because like, man, that sound was hitting, that picture was hitting. Like, if your IMAX has a laser projector, go. If you have a Dolby, because all Dolbys are laser projectors, go. Like, it's amazing. I know AMC, a lot of AMCs have laser projectors now. Do laser projection. It's weird to me that this has a major 3D release, but they didn't do a 3D DCP for either IMAX or Dolby. You thought they would have at least tried to do a couple of showtimes a day because, I just made a reservation for us for Deadpool and Wolverine, and they're doing 2 IMAX showtimes a day in 3D, which is abnormal because it's usually only 1.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I don't know.
I guess that one's tracking that high. Well, they already said it is because of the highest pre-sales for an R-rated movie ever.
My question is the 3D that good on that?
I don't know. It's gotta be that, or they just want to milk it that badly.
All right. Well, we'll see. We will see. Trey, is there anything you want to promote or shout out?
I recently started my own podcast called Takes, Talks, and Tangents. You can find that on Spotify and Apple Music. It's also on iHeartRadio. I don't have the stats for that one, but yeah, it's pretty much everywhere you stream your podcast except for YouTube. But yeah, it's just me and my friends talking about mostly like video games and pop culture stuff, some stuff like that. One of our more recent episodes was us talking about the failure of the Star Wars Hotel in Disney World. You can follow me on Instagram at, what am I? Treynard T. That's TREYNARDT. It's one word. I have some photography on there. I do film photography as well for fun, but I'm trying to do it professionally. Maybe it'd be cool to do like some set photography. But yeah, if you're into film photography, I have a bunch of film photos up on there. I'm not anywhere else on social media, to be honest.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining and filling in for Jeff. And this has been episode 124.
We're the Film Blurs. I'm Brandon Norwood, and I'm the motherfucking protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
I'm Jeff Stewart, a.k.a. He Who Remains.
Don't come at us. It's just fucking movies. You've been listening to the Film Blurs podcast.
Man, I just love what you guys do, man.
I never miss an episode. It's the best. It's my favorite podcast.
Follow Jeff on IG on MindFireXL and Brandon on Twitter at BJN Tweets.